Good evening, gang. Happy Tuesday night. We're back. There you go. Got a little brighter. That works. Okay. Let's see if we get some 5x5s. If you guys can see me, hear me, and we will get the show on the road. See what's everybody going. Healthy Disrespect says 5x5. Motimer, Prep Rebel, Undercover, Florida Mama Bear. Here we go. Salt Mist, Holly, Bass Ackwards, New York Budget Prepper, 96 Harris. Okay, cool. All right. Yes, if you guys notice, I am on the webcam and not the camera. It's normal. You can always tell if I am because the webcam puts everything backwards because these pictures are over my left shoulder. So on the camera, it's showing it over like it's on the right-hand side, it's backwards. So I'm not even going to mess with trying to do the phone and having to redo the setup and everything like that. I'll figure it out when we have a giveaway when I got to do that. I'll figure out some way to do it. But for the time being, if this works, we'll just do it this way. It's not a big deal. We can do it here. So hopefully everybody had a good day. We got the water delivered today. We dropped off the generators with Diane this morning. That was nice. It was hilarious. We met about 50 minutes away from my house. We met equidistance between the two of us. And the timing was we were going to meet at 8 o'clock. Mrs. P and I showed up at like 7:46. I kid you not, Diane was less than 30 seconds behind us into the parking lot. It was like perfect timing. Nobody had to wait. So it was like, that was a good way to start the day off. So got that done. Then went to the post office. Obviously, yesterday was Columbus Day, so the post office was closed. And the last time I went was on Sunday to pick up Friday and Saturday's mail because obviously we were busy and then I was sleeping. Yeah, this morning went in there and had like $8,400 in checks. So thank you again for all of that. As you guys know, we are done with our shopping excursion. So everything now is going to be going to the missions. I heard from Brenda this evening just before the live stream, and the coats that the coat drive that she put together are all on their way. They wound up filling a U-Haul truck full of coats. So that was good. A lot of you guys in the comments on today's video had mentioned Bear's video this morning, and I did go watch about a half an hour of it. You guys said start at the 15-minute mark, and I watched till probably near the hour mark, so maybe 45 minutes or whatever. He's seen a lot more than I have, no question. But everything he talked about that I've seen, I absolutely agree. And I've got no reason whatsoever to question what he's saying at all. Okay. I believe him implicitly that everything he said that he and his team picked up is true. You can talk about the lithium. You can talk about the gypsum. You can talk about the toxic sludge. You could talk about the water, the whole 9 yards. Yeah. I mean, I've seen some of the mess out there. I didn't get into the thick of it like he and his team did. Obviously, we had a different focus. We were focused more on the relief. He was focusing a lot more on the recovery. And when I say that, I mean recovering of people, not building back, getting people out. That's the thing. Everybody took their own skill set and used it to the best of their ability. And because he was in hip deep into mud, he saw a lot more of the mess than we did. I'd advise, and I posted a link to it earlier, but I would advise everybody go watch Bear Independent and his update video that he posted this morning. It'll give you an idea what's going on. He's right. As much as the media is trying to say, oh, FEMA's doing a wonderful job. No, they are not. That is not misinformation. I don't care what lies the mainstream media tries to tell you. You go ask anybody that's been there, and FEMA has done nothing. As he said, sitting around playing video games. There's pictures of them sitting miles away, 20 people at a picnic table having lunch behind a building trying to hide from people, okay? And then they get caught. They are more of a hindrance than they are a help. That's it. As I've said, as a lot of you guys have said, they're going in. We saw it happen in Newport, trying to steal all the donations, move it to Bristol. Bristol's now full, right? And then they're trying to take credit. Look at all the help they're giving. They didn't do any of that. That's all the volunteers and everybody that did, what you guys did, what Bears Group did, what countless companies, individuals, organizations put together. I mean, you guys should. I wish I could have shown you Friday afternoon what or Friday lunchtime, I guess it was, what the warehouse looked like. I mean, it looked like an anthill. That's the only way I can describe. There were people moving everywhere and all sorts, going in forklifts, and it was crazy, the stuff coming in. And I mean, groups of people. We were sitting there where we were unloading one truck, and here comes a group, probably about 15 teenagers, walking in the side door, and they came up to us and said, "Where do we go to volunteer?" "Go that way. Ladies at the table, you'll find them over there. They'll put you to work." The outpouring of people, regular, everyday Joes and Janes coming out to help, is what is going to make all these communities come back. It's not the federal government. Ronald Reagan, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." The most dangerous words in the English language. Yeah, this was proven. And even as Bear said, he was pointing out, he says, in all the disasters he's worked, and he's worked quite a few, this is the first one where he said that the federal government is actually trying to hinder the relief efforts. And I've seen it. So just kind of interesting as to what's going on there. We want to talk about what else is going on in the news. If you guys caught Kamala Harris, this is kind of interesting. And mind you, we are now 20 days. We are less than 3 weeks from the elections. 3 weeks from yesterday. Or no, I take it back. It's 3 weeks from today. Today's Tuesday, right? Yeah, okay. 3 weeks from today. When's the last time you've seen a Democrat candidate 3 weeks out suddenly targeting black voters? Okay. Usually the Democrats can take the black vote for granted. I mean, they win 90% of them. All of a sudden, it ain't looking that good for Kamala Harris. I mean, she's 10 points under where Biden was in 2020 with the black vote. So she's now pandering to the black community by promising $20,000 loans that could be forgivable. Don't you love how everything's forgivable? We'll give you a loan for college. That's forgivable. We'll give you reparations. We'll give you. I challenge anybody that votes for Kamala Harris. If she wins, ask her on January 22nd, "Where's my check?" And guarantee, we're not doing that. Because they will promise you everything up until November 4th and forget about you on November 6th. They do it every 4 years. Okay. It's just a lie. But she wants to talk about reparations again. She wants to talk about loans for black males. And I'm thinking to myself, this is all discriminatory. You can't give somebody a loan. A bank can't go, "I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, you're white. You're automatically approved. I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, you're black. You're automatically denied." If a bank does that, the bank is so out of business so fast it isn't funny. But she can come up and say, "Oh, you're black. You're automatically approved for a loan." That's discriminatory. It can't be done legally. Yet this is a former attorney general who is promising to break the law. Sorry, you can tell I'm still getting over this. And yes, it's tea with honey, no whiskey. But it's just insane that this is how she's coming up. But we've got to the point of pandering, which tells you that the Democrats are terrified, if not panicked, about their prospects. So that's a good thing. So I will look at that. But open voting or early voting in Tennessee started today. Mrs. P and I went the wrong way. We had to go north, and the early voting location for us is on the south side of the county. We live at the northernmost, so we have to go that way. But tomorrow we got to go into town, so chances are we will go cast our vote tomorrow. As I've said to you guys before, I would highly, highly, highly suggest, if your state allows it, to early vote in person. Okay. I'm not a proponent of mail-in voting. I know what Utah and a couple other states, that's the only way you can vote. I would not recommend anybody to do it unless it's the only way you can, because every 4 years we always see stories about, well, 2 weeks later we found this bag full of ballots down by the river, or there's a dumpster with a mail sack full of ballots. Don't put more people involved in it. Okay, don't let your mail carrier take your ballot. Go in person if you can. Vote early, because that way you're submitting your ballot right there. Okay, there's no middleman, and which saves you the trouble of standing in line on November 5th. We always see the stories. They've got to keep the polls open an extra hour because, there's still a line of 700 people outside or whatever. You don't want to be doing that. Okay. And I will stand by what I said. I don't want to be anywhere away from my house on November 5th or November 6th, because I still believe it's going to get ugly quick. It may not be that night. It may be the next day. We may not know for 2 or 3 days, but you're going to have ugliness in spots all around the country, depending on where you live. Here I'm probably pretty safe. If you live in, I don't know, Nashville, still Tennessee, it might get ugly. Just saying. Okay. So, all right. So there's my monologue for tonight. Let's get into some Q&A. As per normal, if you got questions for me, please put them in all caps. It just makes it easier for me to find everything in the chat, know that you're talking to me. Only requirement, this has never changed, okay? Be on your best behavior. Be polite to everybody else in here, okay? I have no patience for assholes. I have no patience for people being rude, okay? Disagreement is fine. I don't mind that. But no need to be insulting. If you want to be insulting, you'll go bye-bye permanently. There aren't second chances. There's probably 10,000 people that have already figured that one out from in the 5 years of the channel so far. So, and they don't come back. But I don't care. I've told this for 5 freaking years. We're on live stream 192 on Tuesday, and about one. So between this and the other channel, 400 and some odd times I've said this. We got it. Okay. All right. Let's get to the top and see what's on y'all's mind. And this ought to be an interesting evening, I can bet. All right. Scrolling on down here. Michelle says, showing proper over the left shoulder to me. Okay, this is raising my right hand. So if that shows up on your left hand of your screen, I mean, it's yeah, okay, whatever. It's just the other way. It looks the other way. I don't know. Okay. Edith Wallace, do you believe that we are headed for a 1929 type situation? Kinda. Okay. I still see, and I can't give you a date. Okay. Nobody can. But we are going to have an economic collapse. We know that. And it's how it comes down. It's not going to be like the 1929 depression. You got to remember what caused that. going back to 1929, when the stock market crashed, you could margin, which means borrow money to buy stock, 90%. So if you wanted to buy, let's making something up, you wanted to buy $100 worth of stock, you had to have $10 in cash, and you could borrow the other $90 in cash and buy $100 worth of stock. Well, the problem that happened is when that stock went from 100 to 50, the bank then said, we want the $40, or, we want the $90 that you borrowed, and nobody had it. And so that just kept everything going down, okay? Because then, the bank started going under, the companies started going under, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We don't have those margin rules anymore. Now it's for bigger companies, 50% on the margin is the max you can do. And technology makes it a lot easier to track margin calls and everything like that. It's not, you got to remember, back in 1929, we're still talking about, ticker tape and telegraph, not computers. So we're not going to have that issue. But what we will have is a collapse of the dollar. I mean, we're now pushing $35 trillion in debt. We will be there before the end of the year. The interest on the debt, on the debt is something like 72% of all the money that is raised in income tax. Okay. So that means if we spent zero in 2025, only 28% of the money that we take in out of everybody's income tax, corporate, individual, yada, yada, could go pay any of the principal. We have zero chance of ever paying this principal back. Okay? Not unless there's something crazy that happens, which kind of goes back to Bear's video when he's saying that there's trillions of dollars of lithium and minerals under the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Smokies that they want to strip mine. Yeah, that's the plan. I'm betting, at least. Will we have the similar results? Yes, but will it be the same thing? It won't be the same cause, but yeah, I believe we will have a similar situation where we're going to have mass homelessness, mass hunger, mass unemployment, and that I fear an economic collapse more than I fear an EMP, more than I fear war with China, more than I fear World War III. Okay. That's, to me, that is the most logical catastrophe that is on the horizon. Robert Bates, post office open on Sunday. No, my post office box. Okay, so I can get into my post office box anytime. That's all. That I went on Sunday. I know I can open my post office box. Ham Fox, what is my opinion of DoD Directive 5240.01 authorizing the use of U.S. military against U.S. citizens as needed? I saw something very, very, very briefly on somebody mentioning that today. Again, I was busy all day. I don't know enough about it. I mean, we know that the U.S. military, the National Guard, can be used against U.S. citizens as necessary. That's normal. Okay. I mean, think of many times that the National Guard is doing the New York subway, for example, here, protecting there. Yes. And okay, if somebody commits a crime, that's the National Guard doing something against that U.S. citizen committing a crime. Sure. Whether or not the active duty and the reserves can do it, that I don't know if a DoD directive would oversee it, because federal law prohibits the use of U.S. military on American soil. So, yeah, I can't answer enough because I don't know enough about the 5240.01. I missed this one. Inigo Montoya, thank you for the super chat. My 73-year-old parents said they're voting for Harris. Should I shun them, forgive and forget? Nursing homes. That's up to you, brother. I can't tell you. I'd educate them. Choice D, my first question is why? What does she stand for that you believe in? And guarantee whatever their answer is going to be a falsehood. Okay. Because she doesn't stand for anything. She'll say whatever she needs to, whichever way the wind blows. Depends on what state she's in to say it too, because it'll depend on which accent she wants to use. But I would work more in educating when I'd start with the question of why, and then I would give them basic answers, the truth, the factual answers. When they come up and say he's a racist, really, the guy that was awarded stuff by Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson or Coretta Scott King, that guy? Oh, okay. Whatever they want to come up with, you can rebuff it with facts. And eventually it'll turn to the point of they're going to go, son, you're a-hole or something like that. And that's when mom and dad, okay, if you've got to go to profanities or insults, I'm right. And then you just leave it there. And then you can make one of the other three choices. Joe Shinpaw, what kind of two-way handheld radio would I suggest? No ham license here. Okay, you got to remember first off what a two-way is. Right? You got to get a two-way programmed. I bought mine a few years ago. I can't even, it might have been like twowayradios.com or something where I got them. And they'll ask you, if you want what frequency, how many radios you want, put them all on the same frequency, because those radios will only be able to talk to another radio that is on the same freak. So look for ones that are used by companies, that are used in like warehouses. Okay. And the reason I say that is because those will get you greater distances. And those are ones that also can travel, if you will, through a building. The signal can travel through a building or something like that. I'm not a radio expert. But I'm not a radio expert. What I'm saying, go with something that's quality and then have for the most part, a unique frequency. There's only so many, but you don't want to have the same frequency as the garage down the street or something like that. So you're listening to that all the time. Maybe you do, but yeah, I obviously you're right saying a handheld radio, but get the best quality you can. North Alabama hiking. I'm sorry, guys. I am stuffed up. I found out today that one of my coworkers is a new prepper. Good. If you were me, what advice would I give him as a newbie? What would be their top 3 areas would you tell him to cover first? I know it's so wonderful hearing me blow my nose, but it's better than watching it drip down my mustache. The first things I would tell him to cover: food. Okay. If he's brand new, get him to start. Get him to build that first month's worth of food. Not first month and, oh, gee, I'm going to eat my groceries out of this. No. Buy your 2 weeks worth of groceries or however much, and build that 1 month's worth of food that's put away. Okay. Do the basics. Tell them to start with beans and rice. Go out and get yourself 50 pounds of beans and 50 pounds of rice and start there. And he can do that on, including the buckets under $50. Okay. There's his start. At least he's got basic sustenance. Tell him to start figuring out his water. Okay. And at this point for him, that probably means go get yourself 6, 8, 10 cases of bottled water or gallons of water or 5-gallon bottles of water, whatever he wants to do, and have that put away. And that's it. Remind him of these 6 gallons per person per day. Get those 2 things done. Then the next one is security. this is going to be a short live stream if my nose doesn't stop. The next thing is security. And again, not knowing where he lives. Now, security to him may mean, I don't know anything about the guy. May mean cameras, may mean lights, may mean guns, whatever he needs to be. I would absolutely get starting there. If the guy lives in an apartment, maybe all he needs is a weapon. Okay. If he lives in the suburbs, maybe he doesn't need the lights, but he needs the cameras. If he lives out in the country, then he needs the lights, the cameras, and the gun, So those are the three things I would start. I mean, I wouldn't go jumping in to say, oh, gee, the first thing he's got to do is, go buy himself 2 ARs and 3 solar generators. No, you got to start with the basics, just like we all did. Beans and rice. Get the food done. Get the water done. Get started. You're going to build on it. But if he's just starting, that's where you start. You get the basics. Get the food. Get the rice. Go buy 6 packs of lighters or something. Make sure he's got candles. I mean, go back to when you started and go, okay, where did I screw up? What were the first things I wish I had? And fortunately, we never had to go through full-blown hell. But, make sure he's got a way to start fire. He's got food. He's got water. Tell him to do this. And I've said this many times. This weekend, tell your family we're shutting the main breaker off at 6 o'clock on Friday night. We're not turning it on again until 6 o'clock Monday morning. You'll figure out real quick what you need real fast. That's the easiest way to do it, because for me, that would mean I have no water, okay, because I'm on a well. It may mean you have no stove. It certainly means you have no coffee pot or no microwave or anything. If you just do that, you'll figure out real fast what things you need, because the power going out is a relatively regular occurrence for a lot of people. I mean, by that, I mean, it goes out for once a year or something for most people. You'll learn what you need. I guarantee if a whole lot of people in East Tennessee, Western North Carolina did that exercise, they might have been a little bit better off. Don't know, but I'm just saying. Okay, rolling on through. Annette H. Homestead. I also felt Bear's video this morning was honest and sad too. Yeah, it was. It's pretty bad. I mean, it's very honest, no question. But the sad part is that the American public can no longer trust its government, and the one entity out there that is supposed to give us trust in the government, the media, has completely failed in their only job. You go back to the Soviet Union, you all know what Pravda was. I mean, that was the state-run news media. I mean, ironically, Pravda translates to the truth, which it was anything but. But that's the only way I can compare our U.S. media. Basically, they're a propaganda arm for the Biden administration or the Democrat Party, however you want to put it. I mean, in 3 months, Karine Jean-Pierre is going to be out of a job as press secretary, and I guarantee you, just like Jen Psaki and all the rest of them, all wind up getting their own news shows on CNN or MSNBC, and nobody watches them. But this is it. It's like, hey, great, you did a great job for however long you were press secretary. Now you can come spew the same bullshit here for us. Michelle, is there any way to remove me from slow mode? Nope, everybody is in slow mode. Let's see. Hang on. Sorry, it's either you got to deal with me blowing my nose or we don't do a live stream. Those are the options. So I don't have any other choice. Not square to prepare. Pinball, how do you think the damage to I-40 and other roads will affect the supply chain? I'm in Western North Carolina. It's funny, I was talking to somebody about that today. From what I've heard, it's going to take at least a year before I-40 is fixed. And the big problem is that is one of your main east-west thoroughfares in the country. Okay, I mean, you've got I-80, I-10, and I-40. Those are the three main east-west thoroughfares. Trust me, I know I-40. When we moved from Nevada to here, it was like I go through Vegas, whatever, new Highway 11, got down to 40, and it was like, in 2,400 and something miles, turn left, because I mean, it was I-40 for 3.5 days across the country. Well, you got a big problem here, because this takes anything that comes from the East Coast along the southern tier, which this coming up on this time of year is where it goes. Okay. We have a big problem. You're going to have all these trucks that are going to have to detour around it. Because mind you, a lot of it can't take the northern route, I-80 route. A lot of you guys that live in Wyoming, live in Utah, everything, you know that I-80 in the wintertime becomes impassable. Okay. Everywhere from Park City, Utah, all the way to the eastern end of Wyoming, it's just whiteout conditions. Truckers, you know what I'm talking about. So the truckers have to take the southern route, which is I-40. If you're coming from Chicago, going to Los Angeles, no big deal. Okay. But now, if you're coming from, I don't know, Maryland, you're not just going to bounce down to 40. You're going to have to cut across through different highways. It's not going to be terrible, but it is going to cause some disruption. It's going to make things maybe be a day later to the store. It's going to change how stores have to order. Remember, we're on a just-in-time inventory system for the most part instead of a just-in-case. That's why. Look at Walmart. Walmart's got a distribution center within 8 hours of any store. They can have stuff to their stores by the end of the day. Any store, okay? Because they've got a distribution center close enough by. But now all of a sudden, if company's not that big, maybe it takes 16 hours. But if they had to go that route, now maybe it takes 32. And now instead of the stuff being there tomorrow, it'll be there on Thursday. It'll have some effect. It's just going to slow things down. And yes, after my last 2 weeks, I don't ever want to work in I give a lot of credit to all those guys who work in purchasing and distribution and stuff like that. That's a lot of work. And I'm not talking about going and delivering stuff. I'm just talking about the phone work, trying to find stuff. Let's see. Jay Ginther, thank you for the super chat. Says, have you seen the new DOD directive about? Okay, we just talked about that a couple of minutes ago. All right. So, and like I said, no, I have not. I don't know enough about it. Deb's time 055. Lisa had a post from someone about running out of propane. I'm not sure where she's from, whether Tennessee or North Carolina, but was in the hurricane. Are there any groups have that kind of stuff in their supplies? That I don't. Okay, depending on what we're talking about. Patero went out yesterday, I believe it was, and took a whole bunch of little buddy heaters to the warehouse. And somebody else had come in with a whole pallet full of the little green bottles, the 1 pound bottles of propane. Okay. As to those, I'm assuming there's some, but I mean, again, the barbecue tanks, go buy one of those. It's $75 around here to buy one of those. There's not a whole lot of people that are coming up, gee, let me have 100 of them, so I could, it turns to be a lot of money real quick. And we were focusing on food, but then you have the problem of storage. because, again, we're talking about something that's explosive. So they can't put it in a warehouse because you got the risk there, just like everywhere else. You look, why does the gas station, the hardware store, Walmart, whoever have propane stored outside? Okay. Because you can't store it inside. And so these distribution centers don't have the lockers or whatever to do it. There's more to it than just, hey, we need to take some propane. Trust me, I looked into it. Getting fuel anywhere is hard because that's something that would be stolen very quickly, and it's obviously flammable. Yeah, Vicky Savage, I can't agree with you more. If Kamala Harris wants a giveaway, she can do it out of her own pocket, not mine. Exactly. Laura Ann, where's the hat? It's Tuesday, not Saturday. Saturday's hat night. Occasionally I'll wear one on Tuesday when I'm having a bad hair day, which means I haven't showered after getting all sweaty. But no, Saturday's hat day. Prep Rebel says he votes on Saturday afternoon. That'll work. Von Mousetrap, there you go. Think I should teach the knucklehead how to use the paper hole puncher. I cringed watching that. That was, if you guys didn't see this had to be the most embarrassing thing. You know, Tim Walz always out there. I'm a hunter. I'm a proud Minnesotan. You know, and I'm an outdoorsman and everything like that. They give him an expensive shotgun to do a photo op with, and he couldn't figure out how to load the thing. I mean, then I'm looking at. I mean, I'm just like, you know, here he's trying to rack a shotgun with the butt of the shotgun in his crotch, and I'm going, that's the last place I want to put that. I mean, not the flare, obviously, but I'm not going to go, yeah, gee, you know what? I want to pull down real hard. No, you know, I mean, Tim Walz knows about as much about hunting as I know about menstrual cramps. Okay. I mean, dude can't spell gun, let alone use one. And he's supposed to be, how do they put the epitome of manliness, right? For who? Pee Wee Herman. Husky Mom. We started early in person in Loudoun County, Virginia, on September 29th. Was number 200 at noon. There you go. Yeah, I was watching something today. I mean, and you guys have to understand how in-person voting goes. This is early voting. This is always the case. Don't let it distract you. Republicans are very much conservatives as a whole. I mean, have a tendency to vote on election day. Liberals have a tendency to vote early. And so always going into an election, do you see that the amount of ballots returned by Democrats is way higher than by Republicans? And everybody's going, oh my God, it's never, you know, we got so much ground to make up. You hear the doom and gloom stories every time, right? If the Democrats don't have, and this is a ballpark, about a 3-to-1 advantage on early voting, okay, let's say they've got 300,000 votes in a county, you know, I mean, again, we don't know what somebody's a registered Democrat still could vote Trump. Okay, just saying. But you figure, all right, for the most part. If it's not 300,000 blue to 100,000 red, the Democrats are in trouble. Right. As I've said to you guys many times, in order for a Democrat to win, they've got to win the popular vote by about 4%. And the early voting, they've got to lead about 3-to-1. Otherwise, the Republicans overwhelmingly make it back on election day. Now, this time may be different because a lot of people are planning on voting early. So we're going to see what happens. But the biggest thing is, the reason I say vote early is that way you make sure your vote counts, that something doesn't happen. Because, you know, I asked this before. It's like, oh, early voting, you know, what happens if I died after I vote, you know, before election day? Well, guess what? Your vote counts. Okay. I'm going to make sure my vote counts. If I'm still alive, my vote counts. If I get in a car wreck 2 weeks from now, at least I still voted for Trump. Let's hope I don't get in a car wreck. Okay. Kevin Little, early vote here in New York starts October 26th. I'm also going to be a poll watcher if they need. There you go. I know most of them as I worked for City Hall for 5 years maintenance. Cool. That's a good deal. And thank you for volunteering for that, especially in New York, because you're probably one of the very few with the red sleeve on. Okay. Raccoon Eyes, need bowling tips. I just started and barely score 70. Hey, I had my high game of the season last night at 187. I got 185 2 weeks ago, 186 last week, and 187. It's like, all right, I'm getting there. Practice, 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 and don't get frustrated. And I'm not the world's greatest person to practice what I preach. Let's put it that way. Whoops, shot to the bottom. Back up we go. Okay. Farm Girl 1964. Do you and Mrs. P make fire cider? It really helps when you're sick. No, we don't. Mrs. P, obviously Russian, okay, has me drinking lots of tea, so that's fine. I'm not a tea drinker unless I'm sick. I've told her the best thing I've ever found for a cold is blackberry brandy and 7-Up mixed. Okay. She didn't believe me until I went online and I showed her the actual medical proof that blackberry brandy is good for a cold. But yeah. And Eagle Montoya again. Last one for tonight. Can you turn on the settings so I can have the ability to get and gift memberships here in the live? Maybe mods can help. I don't know what setting that is. Honestly, I don't know how to even gift them myself. Okay. Sorry, I don't know. I don't think there's any separate setting because other people have done it before. So somebody's figured out how to do it. I don't know where it is or what it is. So if the mods know, more power to you. Like I said, it's not something that I am overly concerned about. It's good donation. Like I said, YouTube was hounding all the creators to do it. I'm like, okay, we'll put it up there, get them off my back, and we can just use it as donations toward the Christmas fund drive, which Mrs. P and I are talking is we're even going to do this because I really don't want to ask anybody for money again. I think you guys gave overly generously. Okay. Nolan Hines, you beat the U.S. government in logistics. Thanks and congratulations to everyone who helped with it. Yeah, well, I mean, we did something. The U.S. government did nothing. They'll claim they did. Well, again, like I said, they went in and were stealing supplies all over the place. Look, FEMA's got Bristol completely full. Yeah, you stole it all. Okay, great. Rob from the poor to give to the poor. Doesn't work that way. There we go. Janet Nunn, a pinball needs some ginger and honey tea. I don't know what kind of. Mrs. P's got like 20 different kinds of teas. I don't know. I just grab one. I'm not the biggest fan of loose leaf tea, but that's what she likes. I'm old school. Give me a Lipton tea bag and I'm good. But she's got milk oolong tea and jasmine tea and that. Just give me a cup of tea. I don't know. I'm learning more about tea every year. Flint McRock, pinball, can you play Reveille? If it's on the radio, maybe that's it. You know, my musical aptitude is 0. Misha Bell, how do I feel about Elon Musk coming out with a household robot? He can do whatever he wants. It's not like I'm going to get one. Okay. You know, be George Jetson in the house, Rosie running around the house, get my shoes, get my slippers, whatever it is. Who knows? I give Elon Musk credit. I mean, he's come up with a whole. I mean, you saw the rocket booster coming back down and landing back in a launching pad, and what they call chopsticks and grabs or whatever. I mean, that's cool. I mean, Elon Musk is doing all this stuff that NASA can't figure out how to do, but somehow, this guy how is it that Elon Musk can hire better engineers than NASA can? I'll just leave that question to you. Okay. Could he do it? I'm certain he could do it. Okay. I don't think building a household robot servant, I think, is probably a little easier than building a recyclable rocket booster. Okie Forge will deal with me blowing my nose as long as I can stand it. Oh, I'll make it through. We got 15 minutes to go. So it's just, I can't tell you how many times I've started a video over because I've sneezed in the middle of it or something. Then, of course, I always get the ones. It's like, okay, I'm 2 minutes to the end of the video and then I got to sneeze or something. It's like, okay, I'm not re-recording the whole thing. But yeah, sorry, it's, this channel, we're not production. My editing skills suck. The content is more important than the cinematography, at least in my opinion. Breed, are you ready for the snow headed your way? Already snowing in Beach Mountain. It's not supposed to snow here, though when I talked to Diane this morning, she said that there were places up in the tops of the mountains out here that had some snow. So yeah, I mean, we've got a couple of cold days. It was down in the 50s today. It's supposed to be down in the 30s tonight, but I mean, it rained a little bit here this evening. It's not supposed to get cold enough here for snow. JD Paul says traffic on 77's a nightmare. I believe that. Vicky Savage, even I-40 has problems across the Rockies in winter. The southernmost route is I-10. Yeah. As I said, you got 10, you got 40, and you got 80, or 80, 90 as it is in Chicago. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to take, now you start talking about a huge dip. Let's say you're going from Boston to San Francisco. Well, you're not going to take 80 across because, that it would run straight across. Not in the wintertime. Now you're usually going to dip down to 40. If you got to dip all the way down to 10, now you're going through, 10 goes through Dallas. God, it's been so long since I've been down there. But that's through El Paso. You're down to the southern border. So now you start thinking about, instead of going a straight line, now you're doing this big U. How much longer does travel time take? Alvin Smith. So where's the Army Corps of Engineers to help fix the interstate? I don't know. Why don't you call the Pentagon and see if you can get them out of their dildo party, and maybe they can give you an answer. Bunch of woke generals. The guys in charge of this. It's like, see, what was it? McMaster and Milley. Oh, we're supporting Kamala Harris. It's like, well, of course you are. You aren't fit to command. Okay, you should have never been put in. You never promoted in the first place, and certainly shouldn't have been put in charge of anything. Because none of these guys are leaders of men. They're pencil pushers and pencil necks. Scott Hoffmaster, are plugs on solar panels the same? Would generic panel fit EcoFlow? Okay. There are different most everything uses what's called MC4 connectors. Okay. Generic panels, my portable panels that I have for my small generators are 12 CVAN panels. They're not EcoFlows, they're 12 CVANs. They've got MC4 connectors, work fine. The panels I have on my roof are Canadian Solar. They are not EcoFlow panels. They're MC4 connectors. As long as it is an MC4 connector, it'll work fine with an EcoFlow. Now, I will qualify that by saying you need to make sure that you got the amperage and the voltage within specs for your particular generator as well. Okay, so make sure you know that. And if you're going to run multiples together, make sure you know the difference between series and parallel. So you got that taken done. Bacon, where do I buy ammo online again? I know you've mentioned 2 different sites before. The ones I like are Freedom Munitions and Midway USA. Okay, so it depends. Again, it's kind of like me buying gold and silver. It depends on what prices, who's got what on sale. I've bought stuff from Natchez. I mean, I've bought from a lot of different places, but those are my go-tos because they have the rounds I'm looking for most of the time in stock, and most of the time they've got the best prices. Mr. Rose Boring, Mr. P, my family and I already voted for Trump in Pennsylvania. Cool, good. Pennsylvania, I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't know at this point, but I mean, I've said since before we even had candidates that we knew it was going to be Trump, that Pennsylvania and Georgia were basically the only states I cared about. If Trump can win both of those, it's over. That's it. I don't care if he wins both of those. It doesn't matter if she wins Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada. Don't care. As long as Trump takes the traditional GOP states, Pennsylvania and Georgia, that gives him 270. We're done. It's over. End of story. So every vote that he gets in Pennsylvania, I'm happy about. No questions for a while here. Wow. Pennsylvania Country Girl says Pennsylvania must go red. I absolutely agree. Robin Parker, why is it colder in Tennessee than Idaho? I don't know. I don't control the weather. Call the White House. They do. Remy LeBeau. Brandon Herrera just started a Firearms Direct. Small monthly fee, but same prices distributors get. Prices are much cheaper. Okay, yeah, I mean, I know who Brandon Herrera is, obviously. And I knew he was talking about something like that. I have not checked it out. I remember he was doing it. I completely forgot about it. So thank you for reminding me. Is that it? Are you guys out of questions? Oh, okay. Prep Rebels got this one. Where can we make donations to the Christmas drive this year? A lot of folks have been asking. I'm not going to start that until, and Mrs. P and I are still trying to figure out how and if we're going to do it. This year it may be, because God help us if it's anything like this just happened. Because I can't do that again, guys, at that scale. That's just insane. We've still got to figure out what we're going to do. If we do it again, we will probably start that somewhere around mid-November, because I've still got to finish. I mean, I've still got stuff coming in from this drive, and then we've still got to clean the books up, get the last checks written to the missions as the stuff comes in. I'll be working on the finance side of hurricane relief at least till the end of the month. So that's, we've got that going on. And then it's like, oh, turn around, let's start another one. I don't know yet. Let me get through one thing before I go into the second one, okay? Because again, guys, I want to do it, but I'm not trying to start a charity here, okay? Some of you may understand how much work that was. Maybe you see how sick it got me. But yeah, I wore myself out doing that. So I got to see it. I got to see what I can do, and we'll figure it out. Let me get there. Let me get through this first. Okay. Planning ahead is good, but you can't plan how to get to second base until you figure out how to get to first base. Let's just leave it that. I'm kind of going back up to see. Okay. That makes no sense. Hats. Do I think it'll be crazy election day early morning? Again, it depends on where you are. I mean, I remember being in the suburbs of Boston for Romney Obama, and I was the first one in line voting in Tingsboro. And I was there at 10 to 6 or something like that. I was the first one in the polling place. But by the time I walked out, there were probably 150 people in line. Okay. Yeah, depending on where you are, I'm betting it's going to be crazy. There we go. Flip McCrock. I-20 goes through Dallas. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember. You got to, please forgive me. It's been since 1991 that I lived down there. So I'm trying to go back 33 years in my memory. I know 35E and 35W. That one I remember. Helldog 01, the Haitians are about to witness their first winter ever. Yeah, and hopefully in January they won't have to worry about it anymore because they'll be on the next slow boat back to Haiti. Estate Time 85, have a Helene reunion holiday party for the volunteers with the surplus funds, a hoedown Christmas party or something. Thank you to everyone. As fun as that would be, that's organizing something else. I'm not, that's not what I do, okay? I got a life, guys. I love how everybody's got ideas, but it's all me that has to do the work. Doris P., but we enjoy giving to the Christmas fund, and I enjoy doing it. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I mean, last year we raised about $15,000 for the Christmas fund. Remember that? Okay. And it was still 3 trucks and a trailer full of food, plus money to the animal shelter, plus all those Christmas gifts. And it was crazy trying to get all that food. You guys just donated nearly $340,000 to this. Okay, 20 times what I had there. Okay, I'll tell you this: if I had the food bank that I donate to, couldn't hold it all. I mean, literally, in their building wouldn't be enough room for all that food. Okay, so if we do it, and again, depending on what comes in, it may be writing checks to the food bank and stuff like that and getting it, or paying for one of their Second Harvest Food Bank loads to come in or something. I trust me, I enjoy doing it. The animal shelter certainly appreciates it. The kids certainly appreciate it. I got to see what's going on with everything else first. Okay, so just give me a month. I'll let you know what's going on. Tom S., has Trump talked about CIA or FBI leaders he would put in? I have not heard of any. So I know there's all the rumors. Oh, Dan Bongino should be charged of the FBI, or Trump hasn't said anything. Member Barry, how do you store y'all's tea long term and keep it from going stale? Mrs. P's Russian. Okay, trust me, she's drinking tea constantly. So the stuff that because I mean, her Christmas list is always full of different kinds of teas for me and PBJ to get, and by the following Christmas, it's all gone. So yeah, we don't have to worry about it going stale. I had looked it up and I never got around to doing it this year, but I want to try to see if I can grow some tea plants here in the yard, and so she can have her own, homegrown tea. We'll see. Robert Bates, make garlic, honey, and eat by the tablespoon. Well, I got enough pickled garlic in the fridge. I mean, pickled garlic and honey. Ooh, that sounds good. Hey, you get rid of the cold by puking. Let's see. Oh, I see New York Budget Prepper gifted a bunch of memberships. Thank you. That was very nice of you. Off-grid living, blackberry brandy helps with the bathroom trots too. Okay, well, I've never tried that. Richard Cranium put some vodka in the tea. No, I think I'll just stick to the tea. You guys kind of like the fact that I do a morning video. Swithers 00, is my area going to be up and running and open the polls? Yeah, I mean, my county didn't get hit. I mean, we got minimal damage, but nothing like what happened. Got to remember, this is as the crow flies about an hour east of me where everything got crushed. Okay. Fat Man Prepper, Arizona allows you to track your ballot mailed or early vote. Also, this year I'll be working as an election worker at my site. Cool. Glad you are also working there. Tracking your ballot, that's why I say it's good to early vote, because if you can track your ballot and you see on November 5th your ballot ain't where it's supposed to be, you can go in and vote, and they're not going to tell you. It's like, well, we've already got your ballot. No, you don't. Look here, right here on my phone. See, you don't have it. So that way you can make sure you got your vote got counted. But all right, guys, it's 9 o'clock. I don't know if Jason's still doing his Tuesday 9 o'clock live stream, but I will not step on his toes. So y'all have a good evening. We'll see you in the morning. Pinball out. She absolutely hurt.